All right, welcome back. So we just finished up converting fractions to decimals. What about going the other way? Decimals to fractions. So over here we have our process. So step one is to write the number in the numerator with no decimal. All right. So in this case, we will have 1 over. Now, number 2, the denominator. The denominator starts with 0. And then, it doesn't start with 0. Oh my gosh. All right, it starts with 1. And then you add a bunch of zeros. So you add the same number of zeros. Same number of zeros as there is decimal places. All right, so a couple of examples to help explain that. So the denominator starts with a 1, okay? And I have 1 decimal place, which means I will have 1 0. Okay? The next one, step 1 is to write the numerator with no decimal. So again, it's going to be a 1. The denominator, so step 2, the denominator starts with a 1, and then there are 2 decimal places, which means there will be 2 zeros, so 1/100th. So the pattern then, top is a 1, there are 3 decimal places, so there will be 3 zeros, and finally 1 over, there are 4 decimal places, so there will be 4 zeros. Okay, so that's how you write terminating decimals as a fraction. So what happens if there are different types of numbers? Same process. So 3.05, we write the numerator with no decimal, so it'll be 305. How many decimal places are there? Well, there's 2, so it's going to start with a 1, and we will have 2 zeros. And you can check this with the calculator. All right, next one. No decimal, write it with no decimal, so 125 starts with a 1, and there are 3 decimal places, so there are 3 zeros. Third example, 875, so you write it without a decimal, 2 decimal places, so 1 with 2 zeros, and there we have it. So that's how you convert terminating decimals back into fractions. All right, on to the next one. Mixed to improper. I'm hoping that this is a bit of a review for you from grade 7 and 8. So how do we convert this? Well, think of it as you have pie that's split into 3 pieces, all right? Or pizza. You know what? Let's use bars. I like bars better. Easier for me to draw. All right. So what this tells me is I have 5 of these chocolate bars that have 3 pieces, okay? So if I have 5 of these, that means I have 15 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, and then you can draw the next one, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to have 15 pieces, okay? And then I've got 2/3 of a chocolate bar on top of that. So I have 2 more pieces left over. So I end up with 17 pieces that were divided into groups of 3. Okay? So the next one, 3 1/4. So I have 3 whole. Everything's cut into quarters. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I was to draw that out for 3 of them, like that. So if I counted those up, I have all of those. All right? So that means I have a total of 12 pieces. But I didn't have enough for the next one. All right? I only had a quarter. So I only had, oops, let's do it the other way. I had that, but I didn't have enough for these. So if you add them up, I had 12 from the whole plus one more. So that means that I will have 13 over 4. Okay? So there is your mixed to improper. What about going the other way? Improper to mixed. So I have something that's being divided into 5. So if I draw that out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I have 18 of these pieces. So in the first row I'll have 5. On the next row I'll have 10. The next row I have 15. The next row is 20, but I don't have 20. I only have 18. So that means I'm only going to be able to create 3 rows. So that means I have 3 holes. Okay? 3 entire chocolate bars that are cut into 5. So these are all taken care of. Now the last one, I only have how many left over? So I got to 15. So 16, 17, 18. I have 3. So I have 3 pieces left over. So I only have 3 and 3/5. Okay? Is what that turns into. All right. My next one. 12/3. So I've split a chocolate bar into 3. And how many am I going to have? Well, let's find out. So we have 3 in the first chocolate bar, 6, 9, 12. Hey, I have 12 pieces divided into 3. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. Okay? So improper to mixed, you're figuring out how many holes do you have enough for. If you have any questions, please let me know. All right? Now, multiplication and dividing fractions. Okay, again, rules for multiplying. So let's do multiplying first. So if I have, I'm going to use letters here, A over B multiplied by C over D. What happens then when you're multiplying? You multiply your numerators, you multiply your denominators, so you'd end up with AC, A times C. Let's write that. So we have A times C over B times D. Okay, so there is our rule for multiplication. For division, it's 2 steps. So I'm going to use the same letters, A over B. Now we're going to be dividing C over D. We cannot do, I'm trying to think of the right word, we can, but what we do is we prefer not to do division with fractions because it's much easier to multiply, because when we look over here, this was easy, this rule. Let's stick with that rule. So we can make a division question into multiplication by taking the first fraction and multiplying by the reciprocal. Now, reciprocal is a fancy word for flipping the fraction. So we flip the second fraction. So if we do division, you flip the fraction, take the reciprocal, and now we have multiplication, so the previous rule will apply. So our division would be A times D over B times C. So there is our process, and I need to see these steps when you're doing your homework and working on tests. Okay, I have to see, okay, this symbol right here, we want to see, because you're showing us your thinking on that. All right, I need to see you flip the fractions first, and then I need to see these signs to show me that you understand what the process is. All right, I'm going to stop it here, and then I'll do the third and final video. Again, some of this, it should be reviewed, so some of this should be common sense to you. For the people that are having a little bit harder time, hopefully the pace that I'm going through is helping you with that. All right, so we'll see you in the next video.